Hey guys, I know it's been a while, but I figured it's the time to bring back deleters into the format. It's just gotten faster with Excel decks being so rushy and pushy, and that the game just ends by turn 4, which I've noticed since, what was it, Phantasmal Steed? And I figured if you need I have to drastically change my strategies and my decks to combat this current meta format, which is rush heavy, Excel/force heavy. So the only playable version of links that can combat this format are deleters. Unfortunately, Messiah's too slow. Brant doesn't have a win condition. We've heard this song and dance before. So you're running 12 crit. You're running 12 crit is because you don't need to draw into your pieces. What do I mean? Well, of course you need to draw into your pieces, but you don't need draw triggers to draw into your pieces. You need the crits for pressure. Pressure and shield. This is the first card of your combo chain. You're running 4 Loop. What Loop does is when it boosts the Vanguard, if 2 or more Guardians were retired after and my opponent is on a grade 3, I can retire her to draw 2 cards. How does this help my combo? It helps facilitate cards for Given. So that's why you want to run at 4. You want behind the Vanguard at all times. And then my next 2 cards are consistency cards. You're running 4 of the grade 1 PG. You're running the grade 1 PG at 4s because most of the time this is your main ride target. You want to ride it so you can get that extra draw. Now, I know you have to discard a card, but you just want the draw to be able to draw into your loops, to be able to draw into your Given, be able to draw into your Bino Dial. Your next grade 1 is another ride target, is you're running 4 Destiny Dealer. You're running 4 Destiny Dealers because Destiny Dealer is the easiest way for you to build the board without negging, or without having to neg your opponent. The reason you're not running Opener is because Opener requires your opponent to have 2 or less rear guards, and I can only call with like a grade that my opponent is at or less. So if I get 2 grade 3s off the top and my opponent isn't grade 3, those cards immediately go to the bottom. This card just says, hey, Soul Blast 1, call it as locked, you could use it next turn. And that's good enough. That's perfect. You run at 4, you want to see it early game so you could abuse it, just to build the board for free. Onto the grade 2s. You run 4 of Given. What Given does is when it attacks, after it attacks a Vanguard, you could take 6 cards in total from your field and your hand, pitch them, restand your Vanguard, and it gets -1 drive. Of course, if your opponent's Vanguard is deleted. You run this at 4 is because this is your win condition. This is your victory. You need to have at least one of these, 2 if you can get off 2 to ensure victory. But most of the time, 1 will do the job. And then you're running 4 Bino Dial Dragon. Now, Bino Dial Dragon is what combos off and able to make deleters playable in this current format. Because what Bino Dial does is, it's actually errataed because Bushiroad sucks and they wrote the wrong text on the card. What it actually does is, its first ability is still the same, the act skill. It's the auto skill that needed to get errated because they got it wrong slightly. It does its act on rear guard, Soul Blast 1, retire it, you get to draw a card. This is another consistency card in the deck which lets you get to your pieces faster. And its second skill is auto. When it's retired, you counterblast 1 and your Vanguard gets the skill of when it attacks, your opponent has to call 2 or more cards at the same time. That is till the end of turn. So when you restand your Vanguard with Given, each time, if they want to block it, which most of the time your opponent is at 3 or 4 at this point, you're running 12 crit, it is deadly, they have to drop 2 or more cards. If they want to PG it, they have to drop 3 cards. This is what makes the deck playable and able to be fast enough in this format because it kills on turn 4. That is the winning image. Turn 4, you're supposed to win the game. Alright, for last grade 2 is another consistency card that we run. It's not a guaranteed consistency card, but it's the most consistent grade 2 that you can run to get to your pieces, which is Gili. What Gili does is Vanguard / Rearguard. Soul Blast 1, when his attack hits, you can bind a unit on my opponent's field. If my opponent has no rear guards, I can draw a card instead. It's good for spot removal. It's good for getting you free draws in the early stages of the game because this is your ride target. You want to put a booster behind it so that if they want to block it, they have to either chance a 1 to pass if you went first, or if you went second, they have to drop a heal trigger. So that's why I run it at 4. It's a really good card. Also, his second ability is if I have more rear guards than my opponent, when it's called, it gets +4, which is really good against Excel decks because it hits for 14 against a 9k Vanguard, so you can also rush with these, which is really nice. So that's the grade 2 lineup. I'll get more into the combo at the end, but I think at this point y'all can basically understand what it is. So, 4 of Waving, this is what you want to be ending games on. This is your second grade 3 ride. His ability is Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, bind an opponent's rear guard face down. And if I rode on top of a grade 3, delete my opponent's Vanguard and he gets a crit. And his continuous ability is my opponent's rear guards can't move to other rear guard circles. That barely comes up, but it does have niche situations where it's helpful. So you run that 4, it's your win condition because it gets a crit. And then for your first ride target, you're running 4 of Docking. Docking's ability is CB2, delete the Vanguard. And on hit, Soul Blast 1 and bind a rear guard my opponent has. Good for spot removal, good for deleting the Vanguard early game. You always want to be deleting their Vanguard because it allows you to push. Unless you know they're not guarding these attacks anyway. But you always want to be deleting the Vanguard for pushing power. And then for the last grade 3 I'm running, I actually changed it up from last time and I'm running Brant. The reason I'm running Brant is because Brant allows, this gives me 5 ride targets opposed to just 4 for my first grade 3 ride. You don't want to ride Waving. You ride Waving first, it puts you really behind because you weren't able to delete their Vanguard or exude any pressure really. So that's why I'm running the extra grade 3, which is Brant. The reason I'm running Brant is because for a CB1 and a Soul Blast 1, he basically says my opponent cannot heal. So whatever pressure I exude onto them on the turn that I ride Brant, if I happen to ride Brant first, that pressure stays. So that's why I'm running Brant as a 1-of. You don't really care about the crit skill, you care about the heal skill, because everyone runs heals. Almost everyone runs heals. The only deck that might not run heals in standard is God Hand, maybe, but most of everyone is running heal triggers because they're not stupid. So yeah. On to what the main combo is. The main combo is you want turn 4, you want to ride. Oh, for this main combo you need 2 soul, and you need 2 soul and you need 2 open counterblast. So you want to ride this first. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. Over a grade 3. This is your second grade 3 ride. Delete their Vanguard. He gets a crit. You want to call at least 1 given. If you have 2 and you can get 2 off, it's basically assured victory. I'm not going to lie to you. 2 given is really hard to survive unless they heal. Unless they heal and get damage triggers. And you want to call 1 Bino Dial. Activate Bino Dial skill. Now you can counterblast, and now he has Battledore on top of the crit. And you want to call this. And then basically everything else is irrelevant. You're just calling out your hand because this is your kill turn. This could be a second given, or this can be anything at all. And this is essentially your kill turn. You're going to swing with Vanguard first, drive check, swing with this next, and then swing with this. Obviously, this is going to go to your hand. This is going to go to the drop zone. You get to draw 2 cards, so it helps facilitate your given. If you do have 2 givens, you're going to restand 3 times. On the third restand, he won't have any drive checks, but it's pressure. He's swinging for at least 23, if not 33. Most of the time, I'm putting all my force markers on my Vanguard because I want to make my Vanguard threatening. But yeah, that's the basic combo of the deck. That is what this deck was made for, to kill them in that way, because that's the only way really deleters are playable. And Force 1 versus Force 2. If you're versing Excel or Force, you go Force 1, which is the meta. Most of the meta is Excel, and then most of the Tier 2 decks are Force. You want to play Force, you want to put them on your Vanguard, most of them on your Vanguard if possible. Because a 17k column on a deleted Vanguard is still 20 shield, so you still want to put most of your Force markers on your Vanguard, so your Vanguard is hitting the magic number of 23 on its hits, or 33 on all its hits. Force 2 is the reason that I'm bringing Force 2 up at all is because this deck can auto lose to Protect because they get free PGs, and you're not able to exude as much pressure because of the PGs. So you run Force 2 just to give your columns extra crit. You're still deleting, you're still making pressure, but it's more of a 50-50 matchup now, though. You can't really just wait until you can kill them. So yeah, that's Force 2. You always want to do Force 1 in this format. Force 2 if you're facing Rogue, which is Protect right now. Anyway, guys, that was my Deleter deck profile. This is just a profile to show you guys you don't have to play what is the best deck in the format, which is Excel to win. There's other ways. Like, I figured this deck all by myself when everyone else thought Deleters is just a trash deck that you can't play anymore. So this just proves to you that if you look at all the cards in your clan, you can build a strategy to combat the current format. I'm Master Beetle, and I'm out. Like, comment, subscribe, and ask me any questions you want down below. I'd be happy to answer them. Peace.